Hi, my name is Meng and welcome to the 34th episode of the SwiftUI course. I think a lot of people anticipated this one. We're going to learn about API. So right now we're using a data that is pretty static and we put it right here at the end of the course list document. And this is great for prototyping and also great for static content. But oftentimes you're going to get data from the web using an API, a JSON. And the question is, how do we get that data and then fill the data so that it's dynamic on top of the static data that we already have here? And it's going to work exactly the same. So we have the same UI, except that it's going to be coming from an API instead. There are a bunch of APIs that you can use to test your data. So for example, we have UI names where you get a bunch of users with their avatars, their names and location. And we also have UI faces, very similar to UI names. And then we have JSON placeholder, which is really cool for a number of types of posts, comments, album, photos to do. And this is what we're going to use today to make an API call and create a list interface. And then we're going to use combine to quickly update every single view in our app dynamically. When you look at the API, the first thing you need to know is what kind of data you're receiving. It's important to match that data to your data model in SwiftUI. So for example, we're going to use the title and the body, and these names have to be exactly the same. So we're going to go back to SwiftUI. I'm going to open the navigator, and this is where I'm going to right click on update store, and I'm going to create a new file. It's going to be called data. So data. All right, so I don't need the UI part, and I'm going to create a new data model. So struct post colon. It's going to be of type codable so that we can use a JSON format, and comma, and then identifiable so that we can loop through the data and make it easy to read in SwiftUI. As you know in the past, for identifiable, we're going to need to set the ID. So let ID is equal to UUID parentheses. And then we're going to set the title. So var title of type string, var body of type string. Now to make the API call, I'm going to write it right after the struct. It's going to be a class, so class API, curly braces. And then we're going to create a function inside this class. So func get post, parentheses, curly braces. Now for making an API call, we're going to need to have the URL. So we're going to declare it, let URL is equal to URL in caps, parentheses, and we're going to have to find the string. So string right here is going to use the string, which is very simple, between double quotes, and we're going to get the link to the API. So again, from JSON placeholder, I can just click on the post and I can get the URL from here, which gives me the JSON format of the data. And using this URL, I'm just going to put that in between the double quotes. Let me just minimize the right part since we don't need it at this time. And now it's time to make the API call. So URL session dot shared dot data task, and we're gonna have to find the one with URL but also the completion handler, which allows us to get the URL back after the API call. So let me double click on this one, and the URL is going to be my URL that I just declared right here. And for the completion handler, you can just click on the blue part and then press enter. And this is going to allow us to set the names of the data that we get back from the response. So in terms of data, I'm going to set it to data. And for the rest of the responses, I'm just going to set underscore. And that simply means that I'm not going to use it for now. So we're getting an error, and that's because the URL here cannot be an optional. So what this means is that this value here has to have something. It cannot be empty. And basically, there are a few solutions to this. It's either you say, okay, you put an exclamation point, and that's like saying this value will never be empty. And I guess you're asking, well, why is this important? Well, the thing is with Swift, everything is type safe. And when it's type safe, you have access to a bunch of options for each type of data. So whether it's a string or color, well, Swift has to know that it is absolutely sure that this is the data that you're supposed to receive. And if it's not, then it's going to crash your app. So oftentimes when you're dealing with a lot of data, such as the string, or you're making an API call, and if the data you're getting back from your API call is not the one that you're expecting, then it will crash your app. So oftentimes, especially when you dive deeper into Swift, you're gonna have to create conditions saying, okay, this has to be absolutely this type of data. Otherwise, don't run this code at all because it's going to crash my app, and I would rather just put an error message instead of crashing the app. So back to this exclamation point, it's like saying, I know for sure that there's gonna be a value that I can use, and it is the type of URL. But there's another way to do that, which is safer, is to delete the exclamation point, and we can do guard let URL is equal to the URL string, and then else. So if it's not a URL, it's going to be otherwise, curly braces, return, which means stop running this code. So you can see that because I set a condition using a guard, I didn't have to set the exclamation point. So yeah, this is about the optionals in Swift, and I would definitely recommend that you read a little bit more about this topic. And this is going to come useful as you dive deeper into SwiftUI and you deal with a lot of APIs. So back to our API call, we're making the URL session and then we're getting back data. We don't really want the rest, so we just put the underscore. And now we're going to do something with the data. Since we're using a JSON format, we're going to have to decode it in Swift. So to do that, we're going to have to do let post is equal to try exclamation point. This is necessary when you want to do a decode in JSON. And JSON decoder parentheses dot decode. And here it's going to try to decode. It's gonna need the data model, so square brackets post dot self. The data that we're using is the data, so the response that we're getting back, and this has to be our data, so that's why we're using the exclamation point. Now that we have decoded our JSON format, we can decide to print that into our console, and the last thing we need to do is to add .resume for our URL session call, and now we're ready to test this function. I'm gonna do the tests in a new UI, so right-clicking on data.swift, I'm gonna click on new file, SwiftUI view. I'm going to call that post list because it's going to be a list of posts. So create that. And so this is my UI. I'm just gonna open this and then resume. So in your view, one thing you can do to test your function is to use the modifier called onAppear. And this happens when the UI is being seen, and in this case, the text itself. So as soon as we see this in my screen, then run the function. So API parentheses, which is calling the class that I created in data.swift, and in that class we have getPost. Now in order to test the console, I'm going to have to click play on the live preview. And here I don't really see the console from the live preview. If you were to run on your iPhone simulator, you will be able to see the consoles. But there's a little trick in the live preview where you right click here and you click on debug preview. This is going to allow you to run live preview with console logs as well. So now you can see that I'm getting a bunch of data from the API. Now, what this means is that it's working, and that's exactly what we need to know. Now let's make our API a little bit more flexible. So we're gonna go back to data.swift. And so what we wanna do here is when we make the API call, we want to return something, which is the post that we have here. So we're gonna go to our function name, and inside the parentheses, I'm going to write completion colon escaping. And here, don't forget the commercial A, and then parentheses, and I'm returning, so square brackets, post. Square brackets means that I'm gonna have an array of post being my data model. Finally, let's get out of the square brackets and the parentheses and space before the last parentheses. I'm going to set arrow, so dash plus forward arrow, and parentheses, so I'm returning something. So thanks to this, I'm going to be able to return values for this function. And that's exactly what I'm gonna do right here instead of printing. I'm gonna type completion, parentheses, and I'm gonna put post. Before we go back to post lists, I just want to point out that oftentimes when we are making an API call, it has to be done asynchronously. So what this means is that you don't want to have to wait for the call to be over in order to load your UI. So you're gonna have to use dispatch queue dot main and then async. So this is how you type it, dispatch queue dot main async curly braces, and we're gonna put the completion handler inside the dispatch queue. This is going to allow us to interact with the app while running the API call. So I know that this is a lot to take in, but API calls are never easy. There are definitely a lot of moving parts, but I'm happy to say that this is the most complex part of the API. From here, it's gonna get a lot more fun. So let's go back to post list. And for our API call, you can see that we're using get post, but it's empty. So we're gonna retype this and we're gonna use the completion instead. And then you can just press enter. So here we're getting back the value thanks to the completion. We're just gonna name that post. And then we're gonna store those posts inside a state. So let me declare a new state. So state var post of type square brackets post, and we're gonna set some default so that while we're loading the API call, we're gonna have empty results. Now with this state declared, I can just update that state. So we're gonna do self.post is equal to post, and this is obvious why we need the self, making the difference between self.post and then post that we get from the API call. Now that we have received the post, we put it in the state, we can now apply to our UI. So let me double click here and let me resume my live preview. I can just stop the debugging from now and just minimize my console. So what I'm going to use here is a list. So command click on the text, embed in list, and instead of using some empty data, I'm going to use the state post. So post, and then I'm going to rename the actual value that I'm getting from it as post. Now you see that it's empty, and that's because we're making the API call on appear. But if there's nothing, which is right here as default, then it's not gonna run this specific modifier. So I'm gonna have to move this on appear to the list instead, because the list is visible. Let me just fix the indentation, and then let's run the app. Boom, voila. We have the API call, and we know that the number is based on the API. We just need to apply the actual data from the value post. So instead of doing hello world, we're going to put post.title. There you go. So in the next session, we're going to connect all of this beautiful data to combine, and we won't have to use on appear here. It's going to be a lot cleaner. And on top of that, it's going to be always updated when the API changes. So I'll see you in the next session.